David Hunt.
I can change my skin.
Then skins.
Doctor Dekker dated his patients.
I had a hot date.
We went out for drinks.
I took photos of Jessica.
Dr. Dekker did
On
phone
Valentine's Day.
And asked me for Nathan's number.
There was a girl there.
Am I wrong to keep the locket?
I'm allowed to talk to her, aren't I?
He was preoccupied with finding
Photographs.
patterns.
Rocking chair.
I haven't been back to the beach since,
I had a bit of a shaky loop incident.
where I find something
I set fire
beautiful in the sea.
to Hannah's clothes in the garden. I dug the grave.
I wish I'd said goodbye.
Dr. Dekker cursed me.
It didn't weigh enough to have a body in it.
Oh, Doctor, you surprised me. Reminds me of Officer Yates. Did I ever mention I had a special friend in the police force? Nah, it's not something you drop politely into a conversation. He's been doing some digging and he's found a couple things. There's a crime scene report that goes into all the gory details and another report that's about a patient you're seeing today, Claire. I'll put them both on the desk for you. And thanks for the grief counselling, by the way. It's really been helping, you know, I'm so glad you're here.
Professor Warwick, I'm a physicist. Where's Dr. Dekker? Is he really? Actually dead? Not a worthy adversary after all, then? Dr. Dekker challenged me. He tried to use my theories against me. Quantum theories. Nope. I think you're going to have to Google that. I don't really know what you're getting at. Do you really want to know? Dekker's eyes used to glaze over whenever we talked about that. He didn't believe in quantum physics. As if it's something that you can optionally believe in. Well, it started with an experiment. Have you heard of quantum suicide, Doctor? Quantum suicide is a thought experiment that tries to explain the many worlds theory. You're looking at me blankly. I can see that you don't understand. I knew you wouldn't. Alternate universes. Essentially, if I were to shoot myself, then in some alternate universe, I'd still be alive. Now imagine if I could actually choose that universe. I'm taking a product off a supermarket shelf. Well, I simply applied that logic to something different. Gambling. I set up an experiment whereby I would visit a casino and place a very large bet at a roulette table. Now, I would always bet on odd. Now, the results of this particular experiment were mundane. I won as many times as you would expect according to the laws of probability, but then I changed a parameter. Why not gambling? My wife Vanessa left me for a neurosurgeon. She emptied our entire combined wealth into her barrister's wallet. I needed more money. Physics provided me with a solution. quantum suicide required a loss of life to make it a realistic thought experiment. So I simply upped the stakes. Now, every time I bet on odd, I would place everything I had on that one spin of the wheel, and it worked. Well, for a while. Dr. Dekker killed it, and I can't get it back. Perhaps ask me something physics related. Well, my theory, quantum gambling. If the stakes are high enough, you will win every time by simply shifting your consciousness into that branch that wins. It's tricky, but it can be done. Dr. Dekker didn't like that. He saw me becoming rich and powerful, and he hated that. That's why he proffered the hangman's paradox. Honestly? Well, I think he feared quantum physics. He didn't like things being explained in terms of science, almost as if he'd have preferred chaos. Well, imagine a judge sentences you to death. Now, it will be Monday or Tuesday next week, but it will be a surprise. Well, which day do you think you'll be executed? Well, Monday does seem likely, yes. Because if you're still alive on Monday at midnight, then Tuesday won't be a surprise. But if you're sure that it's Monday, then that won't be a surprise either, will it? Dekker tricked me. He told me that sometime in the future I would lose a bet, that I would lose all of my money. Now, this didn't seem likely because I had quantum gambling on my side and it was working. But he unnerved me. He made me doubt myself. And then it happened. Recently, I lost everything that I'd managed to build up since Vanessa left me. We were married for 14 years, 7 months and 3 days. Vanessa couldn't have children, at least that's what she told me. She grounded me in reality. I'm not complaining. It's probably what I needed. But part of me always thought that one day I'd achieve immortality through science and we'd be... It wasn't to be, though. Well, yes, it bothered me, especially now that I find out that she's pregnant. Oh, no, it wasn't a rocket scientist that was required, but a brain surgeon, it seems. I have considered putting that neurosurgeon onto his darkest timeline. But I'm not a killer, it would seem. I was at a fundraiser for a charity called Mind Stretch Outreach. Don't know how I got roped into that, I can't remember. But it was full of very clever children with bizarre outlooks on life. And Jaya. It was Jaya who asked me to go. It's full of poor kids with very capable minds. I did give them a talk on quantum tunneling once, and they loved it. Not sure it'll put dinner on the table for any of them, though. You're going to have to Google that, Doctor, I'm afraid. I'm not a walking Wikipedia. I'd love to tell you, but I am paying you by the hour. Maybe look up Schrodinger's cat whilst you're there. Oh, she's Dr. Dekker's lovely assistant. I imagine she's your lovely assistant now. Yeah, she always smiles and makes me a cup of tea before a session. That smile. Which reminds me, my session. Can we talk about my problem now? Maybe if you ask me that in a parallel universe, I actually know the answer. I'm not aware of that. I'm not a gambler, Doctor. I'm a scientist. I need more money. It's true I've run out of money for my research. An opportunity has arisen. Quantum gambling. It's a pet project. It's got nothing to do with work. But if I don't have significant amounts of money to lose, then there won't be enough jeopardy for the experiment to work. A very wealthy group of individuals have offered to pay me a very large sum of money if I attend their next private soiree. They don't want a talk or anything like that. They want a practical demonstration. Well, the Ministry of Defense, of course. Guns aren't going to win the next war. Quantum physics is. They'll pay me £1 million if I can successfully survive 6 rounds of Russian roulette. Now, I am worried because of what Dr. Dekker said, but, well, I can't help but thinking that the stakes are so high I can't possibly lose. What do you think, Doctor? Should I take them up on their offer? No, I suppose you're right. In a darker timeline, you probably said yes and I'm dead now. I earn good money where I work. How do I stop losing it? I take your point. But I suppose to decide whether to continue gambling or to stop gambling is a gamble within itself, isn't it? Well, my time is up. Will we be having another session or... No, don't answer that. It'll turn you into a gambler like me. Infectious, isn't it?
Hello, Doctor. I've been thinking about our last session, and I just wanted you to know that I'm not a bad person. I know taking naked photographs is wrong, but you don't know what it's like until you face the same temptation. I'm assuming you don't know what it's like. Do you have an extra hour, Doctor? Thank God for that. There's someone else in my hour, a hooded figure, watching me and following me. I've followed it too. I've nothing interesting to say about that. No, sorry. Is that supposed to mean something? Dr. Dekker frequently used that paper spike on his desk as an example. I'm sure he did it with the other patients too. He'd make me look at it, touch the point to see how sharp it was. He'd tell me that because I think it's sharp, it will hurt me. But if I thought it was nothing, it could pass right through my hand. I don't know who it is. My initial thought was that it was you, that I told you about my affliction and somehow you'd got it too. Now I think maybe it's the military or some organization that wants to use the hour themselves. Maybe it's Dr. Dekker risen from the dead. I need to talk to you about him. Sometimes a grave I've dug becomes undug. People blame it on grave robbers. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe the grave was undug from the inside out, not the outside in. Only a gravedigger would know. I'm surprised I haven't been approached earlier. I mean, my skills in the military. Special ops would be a breeze, wouldn't it? Waltz in past everyone during the midnight hour, get whatever you want, and return to friendly soil. It also makes me think that they might already know all of that, and that they want to get rid of me in case I tell anyone else. Would you do something for me if they get me? Would you tell Jessica I love her? She didn't really know me that well, but I did love her. And also, there's a hard drive in the bottom drawer of my drinks cabinet. Please destroy it. Please, don't look at it. I spied on Dr. Dekker not long before he was murdered. I'm not sure I should tell you what I saw in his basement. I'd been feeling uneasy with Dr. Dekker for some time. I mentioned how he'd changed before, so I began spying on him at home. One night, the basement door was open, and Dekker was returning upstairs. I skipped past him, and there she was, a girl. It was difficult to tell, it was dark, and she was chained. I don't know. Whatever it is that's following me, it doesn't want to catch me yet. If I move towards it, it runs away. And when I follow it past temptations. A bar brawl, an open till, an open bedroom window. Like it's testing me. I split the brawl up. I did nothing. I'm not stealing anymore. I looked in. Watching other people is somehow built into our genes, Doctor. There was an old woman in bed. I went inside. Her bed covers were smoking. I think she'd fallen asleep holding a cigarette. I took the covers and put them in the bath. She'd have died otherwise. And no, I didn't take any pictures. I'm actually a classically trained pallbearer. There are a lot of health and safety considerations. Not everybody can do it. Well, properly at least. Occasionally I step in if the funeral director is short-shouldered. I do remember her face. She wasn't upset in the usual way. She seemed agitated. Her husband must have been a giant. The coffin was so heavy. I remember because aft port side sprained his ankle. That and he wasn't lifting correctly. I think that I'm becoming a good person, Doctor. I'm ashamed of some of the things I've done, but I'm getting better. The hooded figure, it's testing my morals. Judging me. For what? I don't know. I removed the chains, dressed her, and sat her in the police station. There's no evidence, though. No evidence of what he'd done. But she was free. I saved her. I'm not evil. I destroyed evil. No, I didn't feel lustful, Doctor. I was angry. If I had taken pictures, there would at least been some evidence. A sicker man would have taken pictures and saved the day. The girl who was chained in the basement, her name is Iris. How do you know that? Not that it means anything. She wouldn't remember me anyway. Time was frozen. I had no idea there was a connection between those two. Wow. Behind closed doors, eh? I believe that Dr. Dekker was a truly evil man, and so should you. I know you record these sessions, Doctor. I'm not going to be filmed saying I wanted him dead. But I did, and so should you. And Doctor, if I wanted to kill anyone, I'd do it in the midnight hour, wouldn't I? And when was Dekker murdered? In simple terms, I've got nothing to say. No, I've never killed anyone. But then, even if I had, I'm not likely to tell you about it, am I, Doctor? I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, Doctor. I saw Claire Castleford's husband in the coffin myself before carrying him to the grave. He is in the ground. I'm sure it wouldn't take much for the police to get an order to have him exhumed. Just make sure it's done on Tuesday morning when I'm off. I don't know what you're getting at. Don't know. I find using nautical terms to describe the position of pallbearers fitting. Plus, most of them are 3 sheets to the wind. You know, drunk. Jessica is a beautiful woman. I've not spied on her since the incident we talked about. I have real feelings for her, Doctor. We've never connected. I put my hand through a rusty nail at work today. It hurt like hell and bled like I'd been shot. I closed my eyes and thought, this isn't happening. The nail is just a worm and it will wriggle through me. When I looked back, can you guess what I saw? No. You have an interesting aura, Doctor. My hand had healed. The nail had become a worm and was wriggling in my palm. It was like a little miracle, like magic. I shouldn't really say miracle or magic. They're words that Dr. Dekker used when he tried to get you to think things and make them real. But do you think it's real, Doctor? That magic is real? Then so it is. Close your eyes. Imagine you're in a graveyard, looking at the gravestones. One catches your eye, so you take a picture of it, a picture that you now have. I never spied on you at midnight. But if you start acting strangely, maybe I will. I don't often see auras, Doctor, but yours is unusual. Like, you're more than one person. Maybe I've had a few too many drams. In simple terms, I've got nothing to say.
I've been to the lake house regularly, keeping an eye on David. I saw the girl again, the one I told you about. She was playing outside. I don't know anything about that. I didn't speak to her this time. Something about her made me feel uneasy. I just watched her from the bedroom window. She'd caught a fish. She was holding it in her hands. I wasn't close enough to see, but for all intents and purposes, it looked as if the fish bit her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. once I caught a fish alive. Oh, I found the key. It must have been there all along, in a drawer in the hallway. I could have sworn I'd looked there already. You don't have to analyze everything I say, Doctor. Sometimes a hallway is just a hallway. And yes, before you ask, the same goes for the drawer. It makes for interesting reading, doesn't it? I can tell you're dying to ask me about it. Fire away. My neighbours seem far more interested in my business than they are their own. The lake house only has one house opposite, and it was on sale for some time. I suppose I should have bought it. I don't know what you're after, but I don't know anything about that. That's what it says. I can see you're confused. The police say that David is dead, fatally wounded when I stabbed him. The coroner says that David is dead. Everyone says that David is dead. There was even a funeral. But I know he's alive. David wanted to have a talk about our relationship. Not something any married person wants to hear. He said he'd been with Iris for about a year and that he loved her. He said he didn't love me anymore, which I know is a lie. You don't just fall out of love with somebody. I reacted badly. I grabbed the nearest weapon I could find, which happened to be the steak knife, and stabbed him with it. There was so much blood. I instantly regretted it. So I fixed him. It's a messy business, stabbing someone. You'd imagine that it would be like slicing into a pie with all the filling just slowly oozing out, but it's so much more dramatic, like popping a cork of a bottle of champagne. Blood sprayed everywhere. The steak knife was the closest, sharpest weapon I could lay my hands on. I didn't really have much time to think about it. It was about a week later. I brought David back to life. Not with voodoo, not with virginal sacrifice. I just willed it to happen, and it did. Doctor Dekker told me it was possible, but only if you're not buried. He says once you're in the ground, there's no coming back. But until then, you have a chance at resurrection. Yes, resurrection. But now that I've seen the results, I don't think there's anything holy about it. I think reanimation is more an accurate term. Like, I'm an evil necromancer raising things from the dead. David was dazed and confused when I brought him back to life, as you'd expect. He was scared. He didn't want me to go near him at first, which is understandable, as I did kill him. But I didn't really succeed in bringing him back. He wasn't a big talker before, but even monosyllabic words were more than what he seemed able to give me. I think his brain was already decaying during the week that he was dead. Important bits. So when I brought him back to life, I didn't heal him completely. Just gave him life in the state he was in. I mean, he's hunting and killing things and trying to roast them on fires he can only light with matches, but that's about it. He's your basic Neanderthal. So I have a problem. At the lake house. He doesn't move from there. For good reason. David shouldn't be alive, so he can't just stroll around the neighborhood. It's unseemly. I did think he'd be able to rejoin society at some point, but not anymore. He's getting worse, not better. Do you see David here? No, Doctor. That would be ridiculous. He's buried at Henley Church. You can go see for yourself. There's even a headstone. One of your other patients was a pallbearer. I never forget her face. You should ask him. Bryce was a pallbearer for David. He's also a gravedigger, I believe. Smuggling a body out of a funeral can be difficult, unless you pay the right people. I assure you, David is not a ghost. I've touched him. Since I brought him back, I felt that there was something different about him, something not quite right. I think it's his brain. But how ludicrous that you can bring someone back in the first place. It's like that book, Pet Cemetery. Funnily enough, he does smell of earth, but that's because he spends most of his time out hunting. Yes, he did come back to life, but he's not a zombie. He looks like he always did. Just his mind is encumbered. There's no way back. I'm being charged with murder because the police don't know he's still alive, and I can't get David to vouch for me for obvious reasons. I think it would raise quite a few more questions than answers, which is why I'm hoping that you'd be able to help me. I think it was a mistake taking Dr. Dekker to see David. Dr. Dekker wanted to examine him, so they went into a different room. I wasn't worried. David wouldn't speak. But Dr. Dekker seemed very distant after that. He didn't say a word on the way back. You tell me. What could possibly explain that? I have a picture of him I took after he came back. I'll bring it in next session. Yes, the father and daughter who live opposite will have seen him, I'd imagine, although they won't have talked to him. If anyone approaches him other than me, David would run a mile. The sociable part of his brain must have died in that week too. If David doesn't exist, then that means that I really did kill him. He really is buried, and I really should be going to prison for a very long time. That just doesn't seem right to me. It's more probable that I reanimated him under Dr. Dekker's guidance. Dr. Dekker teased me mercilessly about my eligibility. He didn't believe I'd reanimated David. Once he presented me with a dead mouse and commanded me to give it life again. I didn't, of course. It's not something I'd throw around lightly. He changed his mind about me eventually. And then he mentioned the girl. You're saying that my David would speak to Dr. Dekker, but not his beloved wife? I don't think so, Doctor. And even if that were true, what would he say? What would he tell him? He told me he'd locked up a girl in the basement of his house, just for me, and he asked me to reanimate her. It was Iris. I said I couldn't reanimate something that wasn't dead, and he said that wouldn't be a problem. So I agreed. I just played along. I was hoping it wasn't real. I assumed it wasn't real. But he was offering me what I wanted, a temporary insanity diagnosis. It didn't happen. Dr. Dekker called me from his house to cancel. He was furious. He said that Iris had escaped and he blamed me for it. He said that I must have set her free after he told me about her. I knew it was all lies anyways. He was obviously titillating himself by reprimanding me. He knew I'd never want to speak to Iris again, so I couldn't prove it either way. What? She was actually his prisoner. Bryce saved Iris? So that's 2 favors I owe Bryce now. And Iris? I'd probably have stopped her death if I'd known it was real. I suppose I should have a chat with her now. There was something delicious about the idea of getting revenge on Iris by having Dr. Dekker kill her. But I'm not wicked. A paper spike is an odd thing to use as a weapon. I suppose if it went directly into the heart, it might work. Or through his eye, or perhaps through the ear and into his brain. Or was it just a frenzied, bloody mess of a murder? Do you know, Doctor? He was stabbed in the heart. Then I'd say whoever killed him didn't want to leave any room for error. Dr. Dekker asked if I could prove David wasn't dead, so I took him to the lake house. He saw that I was telling the truth. I can take you to see him too, if you like. Would you like to see David, Doctor? Very well. In our next session. Considering the circumstances, I'd be grateful if you could see your way to declaring me temporarily insane at the time of the murder, to lessen my sentence. Because I'm not a killer, but I can't prove otherwise. You don't still think I'm a killer, do you, Doctor? Thank you, Doctor. So then you'll help me. You'll say I was temporarily insane. I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear that. Let's have a few more sessions before you seal our fates. Or is it that you want something else? Like Dr. Dekker did?
I'm fine. Work's fine. Hilda's fading fast. Terry's Terry. Oh, you'd be pleased to know I don't have the locket anymore. I gave it back. All of it. Every single keepsake. Terry seems to have backed down since I gave the keepsakes back. Actually, it doesn't seem like she's been very well. Not her usual self. Maybe she's got a bug or something. Hilda's nearing the end. She's been sleeping a lot, not eating much. She hasn't been that argumentative either. Although, she did give me a vicious scratch yesterday. It was nothing. I was just trying to give her meds. It's hard, you know. I'm trying to help her, but she keeps fighting me. It'll be better after she's seen her daughter. I've decided I'm going to do it tonight. She hasn't got much time left. You know the answer to that, Doctor. What have we been talking about? What can I do for Hilda that will make it all better? That's the plan. I know, it sounds unbelievable, like I'm making it up. I wish I could prove it to you somehow. We could try shifting now. Think of someone you really love. It might help if you close your eyes. Are you thinking of them? Can you picture them? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I don't think it's going to work. On the bright side, that probably means you're not going to die anytime soon. I feel like you're clutching at straws. Maybe you should take a break. As far as I know, it only works on people who are close to death. That's the whole point of it. I have to hold their hand, and they have to think of the person, and they have to be near death. And those seem to be the 3 criteria. Well, I wasn't sure if it would still work. Sorry. It's just, I get a sense that I probably shouldn't say, but, well, just think what it would mean for you if I'd been able to shift. It's probably nothing. I'm not right all the time. It's just, well, yes, your energy's different. And I was also worried about what I might change into. It seems a bit, I don't know, murky and sort of a bit crackly at the same time. Like there's a lot of electricity around you. It's hard to describe. It's tricky. I mean, I'll sound exactly like Hilda's daughter, but I try and keep it vague because I don't become her. I don't know what she would really say. I say things like, "It's okay, don't be scared, I love you, Mum," or "I love you, Dad." But it doesn't really matter what their relationship's like because it's not really them. I always do the Disney version. The best, most loving version. That's what my patients want to hear. And maybe deep down they know it's not the truth, but it's got to be better than the reality. The reality is that most of these people have been completely abandoned by their families, usually their children. If a mother abandons her children, it's scandalous. But if a son or daughter abandons their mother when she's dying after everything she's done for them, apparently that's just normal. I can protect my patients from that, even if it does take a little smoke and mirrors. I've had a couple of bad experiences while shifting. I don't really want to talk about all that now, though. It's like I'm a mirror and I'm just reflecting back to them what they want to see. I completely change. My face, my hair, my clothes, my voice, everything. Does it really matter if it isn't the truth? Isn't it worth it if it brings them peace? Tell me honestly, Doctor, do you really think that what I'm doing is wrong? That doesn't really matter. Let's talk about something else. So you're saying I should let Hilda die without seeing her daughter one last time? Good, because I really feel this is something I have to do. Like it's my calling or something. You told me to. Well, not in so many words, but you said I shouldn't have kept them. And what with Terry going around telling everyone I stole them, I didn't feel like I really had any choice. The lockets, the watch, the ring. But I kept the little bird Sarah Dekker gave me. I wasn't supposed to mention her. I've got her on a herbal compound. St. John's wort for pain, ginkgo for bronchitis, valerian, borage. There's a few other things in there as well, but I won't bore you with the full ingredients. The rules are that you're not supposed to give a patient anything that isn't on their charts. But I talked it over with Hilda first, and she was happy to try the herbal approach. It's fine. It's not going to hurt her. And the doctors at the home don't care much. They're hardly around anyway. It's the nurses that take care of the patients. Besides, Dr. Dekker didn't have a problem with it. We talked about it once. He said I should do what I wanted and not worry about what anyone else thought. Absolutely. I'm not being big-headed or anything, but I'd do anything for my patients. Oh, okay. Well, I'd have to check. I have it written down somewhere. I don't know. Sorry. I'm sure it is. At the very least, it should make her feel more comfortable, ease her suffering. It was just a little china bird, sort of a yellowy blue pattern on it. I don't think it's worth anything. Dr. Dekker's mother. She was one of my first patients, but she died a while ago. I don't know. I've been a nurse for ages, but I've only worked at the nursing home for the last year. I tend to move around quite a bit. I get quite fidgety if I stay in the same place too long. Yeah, that's the reason I came to see him. I knew she was dying, but he refused to talk to me unless I booked a session, so I did. And well, here we are. I didn't really know what I was doing that first time. I mean, I didn't actually expect anything to happen. I just thought, what would really help this woman? I thought maybe she would just imagine that he was there. But it actually happened. I changed into him, Dr. Dekker. It blew my mind. To tell you the truth, I don't really know what an empath is. I should probably Google it sometime. My mum's got these spirit guides and they tell her things. Mostly about my love life, it would seem. It's true then. I'd heard Dr. Dekker was stabbed, but I didn't know for sure. It's weird that whoever did it would choose the paper spike. Dr. Dekker used to play with it in our sessions sometimes. You know, pick it up, handle it while we talked. I remember once, he pushed the spike through his skin. Yet this bit here, between his thumb and his finger, he said he didn't think I'd mind the sight of blood, being a nurse and all that, but actually, there wasn't any. I was a bit freaked out. At first, I thought it was a trick. A magic trick, you know? Like some kind of therapeutic test. Show the patient this retractable spike and see how they react. But it wasn't. The spike was real. Dr. Dekker gave me the paper spike to try. It wasn't fake. It was pretty sharp, actually. I don't know how he did it. He said he just thought that it wouldn't hurt him, so it didn't.
I'm okay. Thanks for asking. It's rent day, and I always feel a little blue on rent day. Rent day is the day I pay rent to my landlady. I pay my rent to a landlady. I don't own my own place, I'm just passing through. I never stay in one town very long. I get bored too easily. Once you've seen the same faces over and over again, you move. Like I said before, I like to move around a lot. I don't know about that. I've got a short attention span. The malaise of our generation, I expect. What are you bored by, Doctor? You should get out more, Doctor. Looking at me all day should be fun, but if you're bored, perhaps we should spend some time apart. I've had no blackouts, and I haven't been to the beach since our last session. But I think I will today. Do you want to come with me to the beach? You're not getting it. Dr. Dekker used to put my checks on that thing. I guess someone thought they weren't getting value for money. I actually don't have a lot of money. Sometimes a therapy check would bounce, but Dr. Dekker would be okay with it. Oh, my checks are fine though, don't worry. I'm not broke. Men buy me drinks at bars though. Sometimes I'll get away with not paying at restaurants. Isn't that how it is for everybody? It's just good manners to accept when someone offers to buy you a drink. I'm a very good-natured girl. Don't you think I'm sweet, Doctor? I think you're falling for me, Doctor. Don't let that get in the way of helping me. Sometimes I'll kiss a guy in a club, and then he just follows me. Wherever I go. It's creepy. I don't want everyone seeing that. I don't want people to follow me. I'm not trying to get them to do anything. I'm not a siren. It's just how some guys are. I tried it with a woman, too. She followed me. If a lot of people are watching, then it doesn't work. If I kiss somebody and a lot of people are watching, they don't follow me. Too embarrassed, I guess. Why would you tell me that? You like watching me squirm, don't you, Doctor? Real smooth, Doctor. They follow me wherever I go. Anywhere. Where do you think they follow me, Doctor? Yes, they follow me home. They're silent. It's like a trance. I don't talk to them, they don't talk to me. They're in some kind of trance, like zombies, but I don't know what they want. There was one guy, a real gym body. I let him into the bedroom, but nothing. Nothing I did would stop him just staring at me. It was creepy. I got him to follow me outside, and then I just shut the door. Yes, Doctor, sometimes they follow me to the beach, and the next thing I remember, I'm blacked out. And naked. Shivering in the sand. Who knows what happened to them? No, not shopping. It depends where they follow me. If they follow me home, they bang on the door for an hour or so, then leave. Other places, they just disappear. I don't see them again. Try again? They don't just disappear into thin air. I think they return to the place I found them. But I've not run into the same person twice. It's so beautiful. It calls me. It's like I'm in a trance. What does the dream mean, Doctor? Yes, I suppose I follow that glow like people follow me. I still don't know what it means, though. Are we still talking about him? And I thought you were just interested in me, Doctor. Dr. Dekker suggested home visits. I think he was probably checking up on his investment. You're not thinking of doing home visits, are you, Doctor? Aren't we all your investments, Doctor? All the time, all the energy you've invested in us? Seeing how we're doing, making sure we're growing correctly? He called it aversion therapy. Whenever I felt the urge to go to the sea, he would do something unpleasant. I don't know what you'd call it, but it was unpleasant for me. That's good. I'm not sure I can afford any more of your time. Crowds at nightclubs and bars are different. The lights are dim. You can slink around without attracting too much attention. You've got a good memory, Doctor. Let's talk dreams. Sometimes I'll dream about a light, deep in the ocean somewhere. I head towards it because it's warm and glowing, like a beacon. And when I'm at the bottom, it's the most beautiful thing. Like a welcoming sun. Like I'm home. And then I wake up. I can be outgoing. It just depends on what mood you catch me in. Interesting that you should say that. Dr. Dekker said the same thing. And he's dead now. Siren, mermaid? Do you think I could really be one? I mainly like drive-thrus. I don't like crowds, and I find it difficult to stay in the same place for too long. I guess I'm a fidget.
I burned the photos of Hannah. It didn't work. I suppose because the loss was superficial. The next thing I burned was the rocking chair. That worked. I've been getting rid of her stuff ever since. There was a day when I attacked a Salvation Army bin, but I gave in. I accidentally put Hannah's diary into a Salvation Army donation bin. They're like huge post boxes with a circular tray that makes sure things spill to the bottom. I tried to get in to get it back, but I gave up. I read the last few weeks of Hannah's diary a while ago. I must have accidentally dropped in some clothes for the Salvation Army bin. It's funny, because I wasn't going to read it. She said she'd fallen out of love with me, that she was going to break off the engagement, that she didn't love me anymore. I regretted it. I regretted that I mourned for Hannah so long. I regret the grief. I regret all the days I slept through because of it. Had I known she didn't love me anymore, things would have been different. I'm a bit angry now. If I had that day over again, I may just still pull out in front of the driver. You've asked me that already. No. Wait, maybe that was yesterday. I don't know, anyway. Can we maybe not talk about Hannah anymore? And thanks for the dating advice, by the way. You told me not to look for anyone else until I was ready, so I didn't. I've just been sitting at home, reading Hannah's diary, stewing. I ordered a pizza. A nice girl delivered it. It took a week of days to get that pizza girl to smile. And you know what did it? A tip, as much as the pizza cost. So money does make you happy. If I cared about money that much, I wouldn't be working at a supermarket. I'm just trying to care about something at the moment. I didn't notice Dr. Dekker had a paper spike. I haven't really seen more than a foot in front of me since Hannah died. I've told you all I know about Dr. Dekker. He started out good, then turned a bit crazy towards the end. When you start giving people more problems as a therapist, that's a bit crazy. I think that he possibly cursed other people, a bit like he cursed me. Sometimes you could see he was bursting to tell me about it, but he couldn't. He was ecstatic with power. The curse. Well, I remembered. I was hoping he'd forget. It's going to sound crazy. Dr. Dekker said I would never be able to move forward until I came to terms with my grief. And so from this point on, I start to relive the same day over and over again until I made something of it. I believed him. Like I said, it takes something like a tragic event to move my day forward. I do more and more bizarre things to try and get things moving. It's a curse, like I said. I intentionally cut myself, I publicly humiliate myself, I steal things, I hurt people around me, just enough to get another day to start. I ran out of people around me pretty quickly. I didn't want to believe him. I remember I said, "You can't just say things and they happen." He laughed and laughed. I think he was going mad. He said he'd give me a demonstration. He held his hand outstretched and told me to look at the flame. There was no flame, and then there was. He was holding a flame in his hand that had come out of nowhere. and he tried to hypnotise me to make me forget it. I didn't forget seeing the flame. He wanted me to forget it all, but I didn't. For whatever reason, he couldn't undo what he'd done. I was scared. I pretended like the hypnosis had worked. I was scared what Dr. Dekker would do to me if he found out I still knew. So I had to play along, keep coming to the sessions, pretend I hadn't seen what he'd done. It was awful, because I was suffering through the same days over and over again, but I couldn't talk to him about it, because he'd know. He'd become bored of me, so I got much of my insight from calls or messages he'd take during our sessions. I think because he hypnotised me, he didn't want to play with me anymore, so I got basic therapist. He told me lots of people get depression, to become more active, see more people. And although he wouldn't always be there to listen, Jaya would be. Yeah, I talked to her quite a lot. I'm not sure how many days of that she'd remember. She seemed to care, which is more I can say for Dekker. I started out with depression. Now I seem to repeat days. Even if you don't believe the repeat days, then I clearly have extra mental health problems that he's given me. I didn't kill Dr. Dekker. I wanted to be as far away from him as possible. I don't know who did.
I'm fine. I'm ready for my grief counselling. I emailed you Mariana's address. I don't know why you'd want it. I suppose you're going to start doing home visits now, like Dr. Dekker? Grief is such a strange word if you keep saying it. Grief, grief, grief. It sounds like somebody's being whipped. And you're going to ask me how I feel today? Oops, that was a strange thing to say, wasn't it? Whipped. Am I all whips and chains in the bedroom or dominant in the boardroom? Don't answer that, it's not a question. It's early days for a harassment suit yet, what with Ben's nervous shock already. Doctor, if you don't want it, don't text me and ask for it. It's all right. I don't mind doing menial tasks for you. Someone has to do them. Yes, Dr. Dekker started doing home visits for Mariana. He said she couldn't concentrate properly in his office. I hope you're not thinking of doing the same thing. I need you right where I can see you. Honestly, I think Dr. Dekker had a bit of a crush on Mariana, or vice versa. I'm not really sure. There's some footage from their home sessions if you want to see them. That was a joke, Doctor. I guess we found our level. Some mornings I come into work and still expect him to be here. Sometimes it feels like he actually is here, watching over me. We had a connection. It's gone now, though. You can't have a connection with the dead, can you? Not for too long, anyway. Dr. Dekker asked me to have dinner with him for Valentine's. I refused, obviously, because you don't sleep where you eat or something like that. But it was flattering, especially with competition like Mariana around. I was at home on my lonesome, Doctor, like I said before. I have no idea what they did and when they did it. I'm happy to keep it that way too. Dr. Dekker and I shared some philosophy. We'd both read The Cult of the Kinetic Mind, and we agreed with a lot of what it said. Have you read that book, Doctor? In Cult of the Kinetic Mind, the author suggests that everyone is capable of psychokinesis and that the cult leaders specifically had these powers that turned their followers into disciples. It's not a fun read, but if you're into psychology, it's a blast. Dr. Dekker did send me to see his mother once. She was dying in a nursing home and he didn't want to see her. I remember him calling her a manipulative, evil old hag. You tend not to ask any more questions after that. It's in that police report that I gave to you. You should really take a look at it. Psychokinesis is the ability to change the physical world without actually touching it, just by using your mind. It's not just about bending spoons. It covers all sorts of things like telepathy, telekinesis, telesabalas. Shoot me, I'm a Kojak fan. Like I said, all those cool things are in Cult of the Kinetic Mind, apart from Kojak, obviously. If you ever get a patient who thinks they can change the world with just their mind, then duck, just in case they can. But seriously, do a whole load of shrinking and make them better. Whether you believe in psychokinesis or not, you'll need to figure out your approach with those that do. How do you make people who think they have special powers better? Do you remain passive and support, encourage them, take them away? Things could escalate. Building trust is one thing, but at what cost? Followers and disciples have a very strong tie to their cult leaders, almost like they've been brainwashed. The author suggests that this is because they've witnessed some kind of psychokinesis, like pyrokinesis or telekinesis. No, not at all in my experience. Dr. Dekker had an unusual number of patients who claimed psychokinesis. Either he'd been specifically looking for them or someone had been sending them. It's entirely possible that someone is targeting this practice with psychokinetic patients. To what end, I don't know. It's no coincidence that most psychokinetic patients are diagnosed as insane, or at least temporarily insane. It's a handy diagnosis if you're facing criminal prosecution, especially if it's for murder. Yes, psychology. I think you'll find it's relevant, Doctor. Most of the patients you're seeing have claimed some kind of psychokinesis. If you don't think that's the case, then they just haven't told you yet. I think that's all settled now. We are agreeing to pay Ben £5,000 and he's agreeing not to say anything about what he saw. He thought he saw a creature coming out of Dr. Dekker's mouth. Well, at least that's the reason he's given for not emptying the bins that night. Either way, it's not the kind of publicity that we need. Shiny, happy, sane people. I didn't really speak to Nathan that much at all, but I have this strange feeling that I know him really well. I can't quite put my finger on it. There's just a lot of crazy flying around, Doctor. Don't catch any of it. No, as far as I know, Mariana was the only patient that Dr. Dekker did home visits for. Somewhere around the time Professor Alderby turned up, that seemed to unsettle him. And then we had a flood of extra weird patients. I think it was all too much for him. I think I misjudged him. I hope you deal with it better. I'm a bit of a bookworm. I'm one of those annoying, constantly self-improving, overachieving types. Takes one to know one, eh, Doctor? He probably did his fair share of helping and hindering. He was definitely helping in the beginning, but then seemed to lose sight of things. Sorry, I didn't mean I was competing. I was happy Mariana was going out with him. I didn't want to be romantic with him. We had a stronger connection than that. Checks and balances, Doctor. Somebody needs to be watching the watchman, so to speak. Make sure you're helping, not hindering. Well, maybe someone sneaked your phone during a session and texted. I know they all look innocent, but if it's not nailed down, there's a good chance they'll walk away with it. You know, I used to have an iPad. And a Surface. I think he was so overwhelmed by the patients he was getting. His curiosity just got the better of him. There was a definite turning point. You can stop looking at me like that. You've made me do this. And don't try and escape. You're all tied up. Now tell me the truth. Is this a dream? That's a good doctor. Yes, it's all a big dream. So let's get down to business. Do you believe that people can have kinetic powers? And how do we treat people with kinetic powers? Do we encourage them or do we discourage them? Very good, Doctor. That's the right answer. Remember it or there will be consequences. Now, since I'm here, let's have a little bit of fun. Shall we, Doctor?